All right, welcome to Light Full Circle Radio. My name is Miguel Lord, and I'm your host. All right, so today we're going to jump into some conversation, and it's going to be talking about what it is like to be a black woman and a cadet at the West Point Military Academy. For some folks who may or may not have been following this story, there are a group of cadets, young black women, who have taken the old core photo, which is a tradition at the military academy. And, they took their goofball picture, they took their picture with the sabers, and then they took one picture with their fist raised. And so that has caused a lot of controversy, with the bloggers out here, the blogger space. They grab a hold of it. They've made a big deal out of it, social media and all that good stuff. And so these young ladies cannot speak for themselves, not now. Not until probably they leave the military, whenever that is. And so there's been a young lady by the name of Mary Tobin, who is a 2003 graduate of West Point. She is now in the private sector, who spoke out. She wrote a very, I'm going to let her speak for herself, but it was a great perspective for many of us to understand what it is like to be a graduate of the United States Military Academy, what it was like as an undergrad, how much different. It's just a totally different experience than any of us can relate to. This is an interview we recorded on Blab, and you can catch it there if you are a blabber. If not, you can check it out. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast, Life for Circle Radio. Just search us on the internet, and you can catch it, and you can catch it on iTunes and all that good stuff. So here's the interview with Mary Tobin. And let me bring you in. Mary, what's going on, girl?
Hello, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm good. So as I was kind of giving the show open, talking a little bit about what has been going on. So basically, give us your perspective. You basically wrote this Facebook note and you responded to this old core picture that was taken by the young women who are currently at West Point preparing to graduate. Tell us about your perspective on why you wrote a note in response to the picture.
Well, I think because I went through that experience, I immediately understood why the young ladies took the picture. It took me back to the moment when I was taking that same picture with my sisters from the class of 2003. And I thought to myself, what pride they must feel right now. They're 3 weeks away from graduation. And I could just remember that feeling. It was incredible. 4 years of hard work, difficulties, challenges, overcoming, crying, struggling. It culminates in that one moment where you look to your right and your left and you say, we did it. So my first thought is, yes. And then my immediate second thought was, my God.
No.
Yeah, I literally said, no. And as soon as I was, typing a note to one of them, and like, hey, because I wanted to have a mentorship conversation. I didn't want to come down on them. Say, hey, take it down now. Do you know what you're doing? No, it's like, okay, let me type a note. And as soon as I was typing the note, I saw the picture come down. So I said, yes, like mentorship moment. Somebody got to him. Somebody said, just take it down, because they took three. So that was a series of three. It was three photographs. So one is the stoic with the sabers. And one was kind of a goofball picture, which everybody does. Everyone takes the stoic picture. Everyone takes the goofball where you're laughing. You might have T-shirts, beach balls. You might have mascots. And then they took a third, which was the one with the fist, which is the one that caused the controversy. And I immediately cringed because I knew that the public at large wasn't going to see it the way I saw it.
Right.
I knew that there was a good contingency of people that were going to think, oh, there's some allegiance to the Black Power movement, to the Black Panther movement. I knew they were going to see it for everything but what it was.
Right.
In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, they don't even have that perspective. Those young ladies were born last week?
Right.
The 1968 Olympics, they don't have the turmoil from the civil rights movement as a real reference, right? As a personal reference. So, so I was dismayed that the backlash came, and that it supposedly came from within the core, right? Because one of the things that I'm very proud of with us is that we take care so much that the public will never know about.
Right.
We handle our own. And that's not to say we hide anything, but what we do is we handle it according to the regulations. We handle it by counseling. We handle it by mentorship. And we're all better officers for it, right? We've gone together, we're better officers for it. And so when it broke publicly, I said, there's no way they can understand. They cannot.
Let's go back. Let's go back. All right. It's 1998, 1999. You're walking in as a freshman at West Point. 4 or 5 years later, you're getting ready to graduate, and now you do something like this. What is going through your mind? What is the conversation around the cafeteria there at the military academy right now? Because right now we haven't heard them say anything because they can't. They still want to graduate. Right. There's a possibility that they could lose out. And because I've read stuff, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because I want to get the real story. They could potentially been told to repeat a year. There's so many different things within the regulations based on the uniform codes that could cause them to lose a lot of what they work for.
Right. So a lot of that is conjecture, right? And a lot of it is not even a good understanding of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, right? So, and that's just complete naivety. If you're not in it, you don't understand it, right? So,
right.
As I wrote in my article, my first thought wasn't that they violated some order of the UCMJ. One, because I know that there is no regulation as it pertains to the wear of that uniform, right? So that's one. There's a whole set of regulations in the United States Corps of Cadets that governs how we wear those uniforms, right? When and how and where. Like, we know if we can wear it to the city. We know if we can wear it to the mall. We know if we can wear it on airplanes, trains, automobiles. We know. Okay. So, but there's no particular regulation regarding old Corps photos in that uniform, which is why we can take the goofball photos, which is why we
Makes sense.
So my first thought wasn't, they violated UCMJ, because I know that there is no regulation as it pertains to the old Corps photographs. However, then I took another shift and said, okay, I know what it means to violate that partisan activity, right? So that's UCMJ. I wrote it down. That's the UCMJ Chapter 47, Title 10. So in it talks about your relationship towards a political party. It says you can't be affiliated in official capacity with any particular candidate. You can't be in uniform at rallies. I mean, but we're taught this from the first day we come into West Point. We're taught from day one. So it never crossed my mind that these young ladies would spend 4 years at West Point. And, and in one picture, 3 weeks away from graduation, throw it all away. It's beyond the realm of comprehension that anybody, no white cadet would do a Confederate flag. No, no one would do that, because you worked for 4 years. So, come
on now, they can't be Confederate flag. They're all at the Citadel, right? Oh, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm just messing. Go ahead.
Those are the opinions and the expression of Miguel Lloyd.
I'm sorry. I want to read one of your quotes from your article. I've taken that kind of photo, not with the fist, but I've taken the traditional old course photo with the black females in my class as a sense of pride and accomplishment. I remember one of the white underclassmen asked me why all black female cadets took that photo together, not all the females in my class. And I can remember replying, because they didn't go through what we went through. I would later explain that I didn't mean to imply that West Point isn't hard for everyone. In its 214 years of existence as the premier leadership institute of the world, West Point is the only organization in the world that has consistently succeeded at making the 4-year undergraduate experience suck for everyone. So I specifically grabbed that one, and you followed up. I said there's no way to prepare for your experience that is at West Point. As I explained earlier, it's like going through an IRS audit voluntarily. So these young people have, for 4 years, and if they went to the other academy in Jersey, possibly 5 years, have been in this space. What in God's name why do people publicly believe that they would make the mistake with 2 weeks left, something that they know they couldn't do that wouldn't cost them their
You know what it is? It's and I've been thinking about this more and more as we talk about this. Number one is West Point is still largely part of mystery to the American people, right? It's a symbol of excellence and officers and everything that we hold dear in terms of patriotism and, the military being the strongest in the world. But honestly, most people don't know what they don't know about West Point. You nip it, you see us marching in a parade, but do you really know what we do? And the answer is no. And a lot of that is not because we're secretive, it's because we are focused. We are insulated and we are head down or straight ahead, and we're focused on doing what? Becoming the best scholars, the best military leaders, the best physically. Myself and your wife, Tracy Lloyd.
That's right.
Months to the day after we graduated, I was in Baghdad, Iraq, and she was not shortly behind.
That's right.
That was most of my class. And so you're so focused because we are at war. So
right.
The rest of the country, right, has the luxury of being concerned about pop culture and different movements like Black Lives Matter and whether or not we're aligning with this candidate or that candidate. They don't have that luxury, right? They're trying to graduate. And oh, by the way, when they graduate, a few months after they graduate, they have the burden of leading sons and daughters at war.
Right.
That is our focus. So to imply that these young ladies who have to focus on leading in war would dedicate a significant amount of their time to aligning themselves with some political movement to make a statement is ridiculous. It absolutely is. They don't have time. They're in the middle of final exams right now. Can you imagine the mental pressure, the physical stress that they're going through right now because they have to deal with a whole nation casting judgment when all they want to do is pass their military history final exam.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
They got mamas and grandmamas coming up next week, and they trying to figure out where they're going to stay. They're trying to figure out how they're going to accommodate everybody. There's so many emotions overcoming them right now. There's no way that they have time to align themselves politically, but I get it, right? I get it. The American people, they don't understand, and so they jump to conclusions. They come to their own conclusions about what that means. At another school, that fist might mean alignment with a certain movement.
Right.
But the burden of proof is on them to prove that these young ladies were aligned. Right. And you can't find that. You can't.
Right. Right. And, you know, it's interesting, and we won't go into the whole Black Lives Matter and the original Black Panthers and what they really stood for and then how they're not like the Klan, like a lot of people like to make those parallels. Right. But I get it. And many of us get it. And the people who don't get it, we encourage people to read your article, which has now been posted on the Degrio,
right,
and been covered by the New York Times. And girl, I'm so proud of you. And I saw that, I said, all right. Because we get into so many of these dialogues online, the great thing about Facebook and all Twitter and all these different mediums, you know, we all have a voice. And so
absolutely,
you use your voice effectively, obviously. Why did you feel compelled to use your voice to step up for these young ladies immediately, basically?
Well, you know, it's interesting because, you know, I'm just coming off of a tremendous women's conference at West Point where we celebrated 40 years since women had been admitted, and over 500 of us descended upon at West Point. Your wife included, did a phenomenal speech there while we were there about transitioning from military to corporate life. And while we were there, I hosted a panel on intersectionality, which is the idea that we experience life, benefits, discrimination through a number of identities. And one of the main focuses of that panel was actually race and gender. And to see the discourse that happened amongst women of all nationalities, of sexual orientation, backgrounds, and that light bulb that turned on with that conversation, just actually uncovering the biases and saying, why do you think this way about a Black woman that comes in a room that has a serious face? Why do you call her the angry Black woman? Or, you know, why do you think, why do you think that just because a Hispanic woman or Latina speaks very aggressively and loud that she's mad? Like, why do you think that? Have you even taken the time to think about her culturally? Like, what about her background lends her to respond in that manner? And so we just came off the heels of it. Conversations were amazing that blasted beyond that panel, and boom, the story broke. We talked about this picture as women while we were there. And our hope was that it didn't get perceived negatively. But we saw literally unity and power because we felt it. As women, we felt it. Having experienced West Point, we understood each other. So we knew, hey, there's a chance, but we hope not, right? So coming off the heels of that panel, seeing the backlash that they experienced, understanding another point, that many of my friends and the professors and different people on the ground who are still in don't have the freedom to say what I can say.
Right.
Now that